This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Becky Bartley of Trooper Pet Veterinary Nursing. Becky, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I love animals. I love learning about businesses regarding to animals. I've had a couple of chubby pugs in my life, and I just love the heck out of them. So let's get right into it. Tell us about your business. What is Trooper Pet Veterinary Nursing?
So if you actually think of the PSW world from the human side of medicine, I am trying to mimic that on the veterinary side of things. So our team are all registered veterinary technicians or veterinary assistants. So to relate that to human, again, nurses versus PSWs. We work independently or as an extension to regular vets. So veterinarian clinics that aren't mobile, that are stationary, or mobile vets that just need the extra support with staffing. So we go directly into the client and the patient's home. We do all of our nursing services, such as nail trims, ear cleanings, those basics. But then we'll do more of the medical stuff, like the bandage changes or the medication administrations, blood work, blood pressure checks, things like that. So again, just think of what the nurses or the vet techs would do in the hospital setting. We just bring that home.
So you're like a pet nurse.
Yeah. I think actually they're trying to change the term right now. We have a couple governing bodies in Ontario that want to actually change it from vet tech to vet nurse. So that would be cool because I think it gives a better idea of exactly what we do.
I like that. So can people call you direct, or are you additional help through a stationary?
Both.
Both.
So a pet owner can call us directly for advice and appointments, exams, things like that, the nail trims, stuff like that. If you were to call me and say, hey, my pug needs blood work, then I have to call your vet and say, okay, I need a requisition form. So in that aspect, think of us as Life Labs. We need a rec form, but we set it all up for you and we make it as smooth as possible.
I love it. I really do like it because I think it's a unique business.
Yeah.
So there's a few fundamental questions on this show. They all have their purpose, but some are a little bit more meaningful than others. And I'm very passionate about humans, their potential. I love seeing humans grow, but we also love hearing about the story. I think that's part of it. I think human beings are storytellers at the end of the day. That's essentially what this podcast is, telling another story about a couple other humans. So we like to ask about the journey. Like, what is the story behind it? So it's really a two-part question. First off, I have the utmost respect for entrepreneurs who are willing to let their curiosity drive them and carve their own path in life rather than marching to somebody else's beat. So number one, I would ask about that because it's also very difficult to be an entrepreneur. So why decide to open your own business? And then what brought you into this world of animals and serving them and making sure they're happy and healthy?
Yeah. I always get asked about like the whole entrepreneur thing or why did you decide to start a business? And I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff, I still feel like I don't know how the heck I did that. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a lot of work, but it all started like I went to university first, actually, to become a veterinarian. I wanted to be the doctor. And I quickly realized to become a doctor, you need to learn a lot about the mitochondria and physics and do your whole Bachelor of Science. And you're not actually working with animals right away. And I was like, I'm not down for this. I don't want to do 4+ years of this. So I left university and went right to the tech program in Aurelia, actually. I did that for 2 years. And then when I graduated, I realized that I was broke.
Yeah, that happens.
So I went to work. I had a nighttime job at an emergency hospital in Newmarket, working with emergency critical care pets. And then my day job was a regular practice, just like you would take for your pets for vaccines and stuff. And then I realized I'm still broke and I'm working a lot. So what can I do? So I hopped on, Google and YouTube, and I said, okay, like, how do I get rich here? Like, I don't know. How do I find money where I have no more hours in the day and I'm still broke? And they said, you need to find a side hustle. What's something you can offer people that will like help subsidize your income, and you could just kind of like use like on the side on your days off and stuff. So I was like, well, like I can do dog nail trims, I can do cat nail trims, like whatever, like I could offer that. So I hopped on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, or back then it wasn't called that, but whatever. I hopped on there, I put an ad out, and I was like $10 nail trim. And I just started going after work and before work, and I just started doing these nail trims around the city of Barrie, and I made cash. And then that cash paid off a lot of my debt, a significant amount. And I was still working at the animal hospital and at the clinic, and I was doing all of these things, and I was making progress at that point. But then my big light bulb moment was I was working in the clinic that it was in Newmarket as well, that I worked my 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And we have in the vet world, sometimes pets have to come in for like medicine, injectables, or arthritis pain meds. And we have to do it like every 4 weeks, let's say. So this shepherd would come in every 4 weeks for what is called a cartrophin injection, which is for arthritis. And the dog was just getting more and more aggressive every single time it was coming, to the point that we couldn't even get the German Shepherd out of the owner's truck. The owner couldn't even get a muzzle on the dog. He just knew the moment he got in the truck and he pulled into the parking lot, he knew like what was happening, and he didn't want nothing to do with it. So the doctor that was on duty said, okay, well, come back next week, empty stomach. We're going to sedate him, and we're going to do this 2-second injection on a sedated dog. And I was like, yeah, well, like the drug's already pulled up in a syringe. Like I can't put it back in the bottle. I do these nail trims on the side. Like I wonder if when I'm done my shift, I could just go see if I could do it at home with the owner. And so I left my shift that day. I took that same medicine. I went to the house, and the dog that tried to eat me about 3 minutes prior, or 3 hours prior, was like laid on my lap. I'm sitting on the couch. The owner's making me a tea. I just like pull out this little needle. I'm like poking really quick, no muzzle, absolutely nothing. And he just kind of looked at me like, what the hell? And then that was it. And it was done. And that was my big light bulb moment. I said, there is a better way to do animal medicine. They have the white coat fear syndrome. There's just a better way. And from there, I expanded and I grew the services.
I love it. So many entrepreneurs have similar story, recognizing a gap or where something is suboptimal, or it could be done better just by experiencing it yourself. You saw something that wasn't ideal. You thought maybe it could be better. You tried it and then you found it. So what do you think it is? You think animals are just more comfortable at home rather than going into that vet clinic environment?
Yeah, there are some dogs that absolutely love going into the vet. Like those are your labs, but your German Shepherds and your pugs and things like that, they like to be at home, their home bodies. They want to be with the owner. It's a different smell. Like, do you like to go to the dentist or the doctor or the hospital? Right? Like
that's what I was thinking the whole time.
Yeah. We don't like it. They don't like it. We at least can rationalize it. Like, I'm here because I need a dental cleaning. I'm here because, I need to get a checkup. They can't rationalize it like that. So a lot of dogs, but especially cats, they don't travel well. They don't want to be in a carrier. They don't want to go to a place that they're not familiar with, that has dogs barking in the back or what have you, right? All the smells. So yeah, I think that's what it is.
I love it. And what brought you into the world of animals in general? Like where did that come from?
I'm one of the lucky few. I knew from day one. I've never I just went to school. I think kindergarten. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a vet. Like there was like one time that in high school, I was like, maybe I want to be an interior designer. So random, but no, I didn't want to be. But other than that, I've just always known. So I consider myself lucky there.
Yeah, that is. Not too many of us know at such a young age what we want to do. I certainly didn't.
Yeah, I bonded really big, like really well with animals. Like, I don't know. They're just better than most people. No offense.
Did you always have them growing up?
Actually, no. Like, I think when you work with animals, it's either your parents always said no, or your parents like let you have too many. My parents were like a no, no, no. And then finally I had one dog growing up, and I was already in my like preteens to my teens. And she's half of the Trooper, actually. So Trooper Pet came from my childhood dog's name was Trixie, and my current dog's name is Cooper. And I put it together, and that's how Trooper became, actually, I think.
And there's the meaning behind Trooper Pet. Very cool. And how long have you been running Trooper Pet for?
So when I started this, like the side hustle part of it was 2016. I launched it as is with all of the services, working in collaboration with doctors as of January 2020, right before the pandemic.
It's amazing how many times I hear that story, but you made it through the pandemic and now you're 4 years in.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I count my blessings. I think the pandemic really actually helped a service like ours being mobile and going home. If you have a pet, curbside appointments, you weren't allowed in with your pet, which just made the anxiety way worse. So a lot of owners were calling us and said, we don't want to do that. And it kind of was like a backdoor way for us to call vets and be like, hey, let us help you.
Awesome. And what's the size of the team that you work with?
So we are at two RVTs, a vet tech, and 2 veterinary assistants. So there's 5 of us right now.
Awesome. I love it. So great. So I appreciate you sharing all that with us. One of the things that we really like on the show, we pride ourselves on, is providing quality information, education. In other words, there's so much information out there at our fingertips, like no other time before. And so kind of weeding through the shit is something that we need to do, or they just don't do it. And we consume a lot of things that maybe aren't the best quality information. If I have suboptimal information in my mind, I'm now going to make my next decisions based on less than optimal information. So when we talk about our pets, we love our pets, as you said, no offense, but they're better than some humans. I would agree to that. They just get my pugs. They just get me.
Yeah.
They know all the things, but we love our animals. And I don't want to make mistakes when it comes to my animals. So are there any myths or misconceptions about the world that you reside in when it comes to our pets and keeping them healthy, and anything that comes to mind that you could clarify for us?
I was excited for this question because I feel like with the vet world, I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day. We were on like a little bit of a road trip and we got into a debate, but I think there's a huge misconception about the vet world and veterinarians in particular, and how much money is in it, and like the kickbacks that they think that we get. That's a huge one for us. Like it breaks my heart, obviously, if I'm working in a clinic and the owners just can't afford it. Like, yes, it does. So a vet bill can be very expensive, but I think being in Ontario and having OHIP and not paying our own medical bills, I think it really it kind of messes with our perception of like the vet industry, because there is no healthcare coverage there. But there are insurances, and I'm so huge on pet insurance. Don't get me started on that. But I really think that is a misconception, is that we're out here getting rich and we're marking things up $1 million and we're doing this and we're doing that. And it breaks our hearts, because right now in the vet world, there is like a big crisis in mental health and shortage in staff. And if you look it up, it is called Not One More Vet. It's a big thing. It's been going on since the mid of the pandemic. The suicide rate in the vet industry is the highest in any career right now in North America. Or top 3, I think it was, maybe not the top 1, but it's a big problem. And I think a lot of it's compassion fatigue. Like, we want to do our best, but there's only so much we could do. And we're working within people's budgets, and people are getting upset with us. And I think that it's important for people to know that if we're in the vet industry, it's not because we want to get rich. It's because we actually genuinely love pets and their people, and we're trying to help.
Yeah, it is an interesting dichotomy, what you just kind of revealed there, that I didn't really think of. We get our healthcare for free, pretty much, the vast majority of it, especially when compared to places like the States, but we pay for our pets. So it is interesting that we're used to taking care of ourselves for minimal cost. So it seems so drastic when we take care of our pets, where if we did pay for healthcare, maybe it wouldn't seem so drastic. That's interesting. I haven't thought of that before.
If you look at the statistics too about like in the States, like pet insurance I mentioned, if you look at the number of pets that actually have pet insurance in the States, it is absurdly higher than in Canada. And my theory is, I can't back it, but my theory is because they have insurance for themselves. That's just the way that their healthcare works. So they understand the principle. And like, if I don't have it, I'm paying out of pocket. Whereas here, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need pet insurance for my pet. But it's like, if you were paying for it, like in the States, I think you would be more willing or more like, we have to do this. I've seen people remortgage their home. Like it can be crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if everybody else is doing it, when everybody else gets car insurance, you get car insurance, house insurance. What becomes common becomes, kind of, or what most people do becomes common for all of us. So yeah, that's an interesting thought, and it makes sense to me. Regarding insurance, this is something that I've never got on my dogs before. I have thought about it many times because, little pugs are problematic, and we've had some big expenses when it comes to pugs.
Yeah.
Other than the obvious, like I'm going to ask you why get insurance. Other than the obvious, you reduce the chance of those high risk situations. But across the boards, is it something you suggest most of us get? And on average, some people get lucky and their dogs have no problems. Some people have a lot of problems. But across a wider scale, would you say that it is a less total cost than if I risked it and did not get insurance?
So the way the pet insurance works is every company is different, and you have to do your homework because some of them are like price gougings, and then they'll change the cost based off the age of the pet. So you need to find a good insurance, and you need to sit down just like you would for your life insurance or your health benefits and talk to them about these things. I actually have a sheet if anybody ever wants it. It's like the top questions to ask an insurance company. But like to go back to your question there, yes, I think overall, if you never use it in your lifetime, like your pet's lifetime, that's amazing. That's great. And like technically, yeah, that money's gone. I have some friends that take that money and just put it into a savings account. But the difference is if something were to happen tomorrow and like, God forbid, Fluffy ran across the street tomorrow and got hit by a car and we needed to put him in the hospital and hospitalize him. If you don't have $10,000+ already in that account, then it's going to be a big ding on you rather than like, okay, I pay $50 a month for my border collie, and it is no limit. So I could spend $30,000 and all I have to pay is the exam fee and my deductible. So I think overall, it's more of the peace of mind. It's a huge peace of mind. You can budget it better, right? Like if I know $50 a month is coming out every month, that's way easier for me to budget than I need $15,000 right now because Cooper's sick, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it also is nice to hear because you don't sell the insurance, right?
No.
So to hear somebody who doesn't sell the insurance that has much more intimate details in the industry, like normally I go to the experts. What are the experts doing that they don't have a bias in? If you were selling the insurance, I think your information would still be valid, but it's even more valid and reinforces the point that much more that you don't sell the insurance, yet you still pay for it.
I like to put it into perspective for people. I don't think I might know one veterinary technician or a veterinarian that does not have pet insurance. And if you're working in a clinic, we get things that cost and we still have pet insurance because you just never know. There could be a long term. I'm not talking just accidents, right? Some of the insurances are illnesses too. If your pug got diabetes tomorrow, that's out of pocket now for the rest of his life. And you can't get insurance once your pet is diagnosed with something because now it's a pre-existing condition. Right. So it's just that peace of mind to get it as a puppy or as young as possible when they're healthy. And God forbid they were to develop any type of illness or have an accident, that peace of mind, it's covered. You've been paying for it. And yeah, like I said, even us vets and vet techs, we have it. And no, we don't sell it. And we don't get kickbacks either.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's good to say. And it is changing my behavior, because you are not the first to say this to me. We deal with a number of our clients, our vets. We've had a number of people in the veterinarian world come on the podcast, and I do hear that common theme. And, you know, I've been punished for not having insurance a couple times before, upwards to several $1,000s. So I'm glad you pointed that out. And also the price gouging and all that kind of stuff, that you kind of shared that with us, because that is the case in some industries, and it's just a perception. It's not necessarily true. How people's feelings doesn't indicate the truth behind what's actually going on in the industry. We need good information for that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah. Getting to you a bit more outside of the business, I like to start with something a little bit playful. So what puts a smile on your face? And I will say, I will preface it, I ask this question on every episode because we want to see what is the person up to for fun, as everybody loves fun. And I would say 70, 80% of my entrepreneurs that come on say my business. So that's the easy answer.
I won't say it.
Sure. Outside of your business, what puts a smile on your face?
The sun, for sure.
Yeah.
The sun. Anytime the sun's out. Today is a great day. Just like every entrepreneur, it's very hard to like turn it off because you're working 24/7, but I am getting better at it. I went through severe burnout, so I was like, okay, you got to set some boundaries here. So the weekends, I really try to just get outside. I like to hibernate in the wintertime. Not that that's fun, but I'll go on trips to I'll chase the sun. And then I like hiking. I do have a camper trailer, so we go camping. Cooper and I like to do that. Family time, basically things away from the computer and the phone. And because again, if a client messages me, I have too big of a heart. I can't say no. So if it's not in front of me, I can't feel guilty, and I can go spend quality time with family and friends and the dog.
So you make sure to be intentional about that digital detox. Get out there, get in nature, get with your people. That's where you'll find you, if not working. Yeah. Beautiful. Now, this question is one of my favorites. It's a little less playful, but I think very important. We, as I said a couple of times, try to pride ourselves on providing quality education that could actually be impactful enough to change behavior. If you are sharing information that you've learned that not everybody else has learned, that when you pass that information on to somebody, it plants such a deep seed, can impact them so much they're willing to consider it, and eventually that leads to them changing behavior. You've now changed that person's life. Yeah. They will hopefully forever be changed, but at least for a period of time, they've now changed their way of living because of the information. So we talk about hardships, trials, and tribulations on this show. One, because entrepreneurs go through a hard journey. It's typically a harder path to create it on your own, the path less traveled. So we have a lot of respect for that. We want to talk about it, as a lot of entrepreneurs listen to this show and can relate to it. But I think more so, I do a bit of counseling at an addictions facility on the weekend. It's the thing that fills my cup. It really is a sense of fulfillment, and it's just hard conversations all day. So why continue to go? People would ask me, like, the emotional toll that you must feel from going there all day must be extensive. It's not the main thing that's making you income. Why would you choose to go? And it's like, it's the nature of these hard conversations that reveals more to me about humanity, about myself, deeper level of connection with other people. Plus, it's a representation of what the power of courage, being able to share your hardships with another person, especially a stranger, tells me right away that there's no shame in that hardship. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do. Is I don't think there should be shame around our challenges. It is a part of the human journey. And I would argue one of the most important points, because through my life and my experience and the people that I've experienced, it's through their hardships that they've given themselves the opportunity to grow more significantly than in any other period in their life. When everything's going your way, your brain's basically saying, okay, status quo, why change? It's when we really butt up against a very difficult obstacle where it's like, I don't have the answers. Now I have to go get them, or I have to change behavior, change my lifestyle. and it can completely change a person in a single instance. So we like to ask the entrepreneurs that come on the show, as again, you just talked about it, burnout, and you've chosen a difficult path. Are there any trials, tribulations that you have gone through that you're willing to share with us that probably sucked in the moment as going through something hard? We know what that symptom feels like. It feels sucky. But when you look back in hindsight, you wouldn't remove that ingredient from the recipe that is you, because it's led to you living the life that you live now.
Yeah. There's actually so many that when I knew this question was coming, I was like, I don't know which one to say. But, based off of how the conversation is going, I want to talk about like the burnout aspect, because I want to say, like, if you don't slow yourself down, the universe will stop you. So I have learned that multiple times now. Like, I did not make this mistake one time. I've made it multiple times until finally I was like, okay, like, I got it, universe. We don't need to do it anymore. Like, okay. But it really is true. If you don't stop and like set boundaries for yourself and respect them, you'll get sick. The universe will throw a roadblock in. You're gonna it's just not going to be good. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to learn, and I'm not perfect at it now, but I've been trying, and I'm going to continue to try, but I suggest other people try now, is listening to your gut, listening to yourself, because my brain will tell me, nope, we have 18 more things we need to get done today. So we're going to stay up until midnight to get it done. But my belly is telling me, like, you're tired. You're not feeling well. You forgot to eat today. Cooper's crying at the door because he wants, his walk. Like, you put these things on the back burner and they will pile up and it'll just feel so overwhelming. And I've had a couple of those instances. And I think the very first time this happened to me was my last full-time job in a clinic. I knew I wasn't in the right place. I knew that the medicine didn't make me feel good. I knew that, I didn't want to go to work every day, but I was doing it, and it just piled and piled and piled. And then I got diagnosed with like severe migraines. So then all of a sudden I'm forced to not go to work because I can't even see and I can't drive. And then basically, as soon as I left that job, I actually walked out of that job because I blew, because again, it'll pile up. I walked out. Trooper Pet was formed because of that, by the way, because I had to pay rent. So I was like, make money. But it really pushed me to like focus on making it a business at that point. That's why I say I don't really know how it became a business, but I guess I do. But it just piled up. All the shit piled up, and I got sick and I got depressed and I didn't want to get out of bed and I felt awful. And then the moment I left that job and I put myself in a different situation, I stopped getting the migraines. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was kind of number one. And then I launched a business and, and then there's been a few other times where it's like, okay, the universe will slow you down. I got like, depressive episodes where I'm actually talking about going on antidepressants. But what I really needed is a week at home, staycation, deplugged. And I didn't need to go on antidepressants. I just needed to stop, reset, and focus on my own mental and physical health and just not listen to the noise and just prioritize myself.
Man, I love it. It's I talk about it. The foundation of my life certainly is a combination of mental health and physical health. It is, to me, I mean, somebody could argue with me on this point. I don't know that they would sell me on it, but if you give your body, mind, soul, spirit, whatever you want to consider that, but just physiologically, biologically, the things that it needs, something to de-stress, good nutrients, sleep, activity, everything else is just a little bit easier, or you can handle more. I think you're right that life, universe, however you want to consider it, will just stop you, because without that stop, maybe you go too far and you don't come back from it. But it's almost like these mandatory roadblocks if you're living out of alignment with what you actually need. And that makes me curious, because I love these types of things so much. As I said, the mind and physical health is such a priority for me. So I have these practices to mitigate the amount or the impact of burnout and stress. And really, my main thing is quality of life. I want to enjoy my time as much as I can while I'm here. So a lot of these practices help me do that. But are there any things that you do that have become staples in your life that since I implemented these things, I found myself more jovial, or the stress is reduced? Anything that you can share with us? Some tips and tricks to avoiding burnout?
Yeah. So I think everybody's individualized, right? Like I like to read.
Sure.
Reading really soothes my soul. But some people don't like to read. So you got to really figure out what it is that you want to fill your bucket. But I told you the sun. The sun is huge for me. The reading, the Sundays off. So I really try to, like, Sundays are like no fly zone. We're not doing anything. Like maybe I'm meal prepping. Meal prepping is a big one actually, because entrepreneurs forget to eat. We just forget to eat. We'll look at a clock and be like, oh, okay. And like you're drinking your coffee. I lived on coffee for so long. So having the meals just in my fridge already there makes it a lot easier. Setting an alarm. I actually don't really listen to podcasts, and I'm a reader. I need the book in my hand. I can't do audiobooks and stuff. But I was listening to Brendan Bouchard, if anybody's ever heard of him. And
Sure.
He actually puts like an alarm in his phone like 3 times a day, because sometimes you can get so hyper-focused on what you're doing and you're there for 4 hours. But really, if you set an alarm for every hour or hour and a half and you get up and you stretch, I try to do that, because then I don't feel so overwhelmed. And I can actually reflect on like, okay, I've been working at this for an hour and a half. Am I actually making progress? Because how many times do we do a whole day's of work and we're like, what the heck did we accomplish today?
Sure.
Like, what do we do? But if you take those breaks and you like reset, I find that I feel like I'm accomplishing more, and I'm not feeling so overwhelmed at the end of the day like I didn't accomplish anything. Going to bed early. This is all like this is
How
all
early?
Yeah.
How early?
Yeah, I'm like an 8 or 9 girl.
And what time you wake up?
Okay. Well, I used to be part of the 5 a.m. club. I'm changing, but right now it's like 6:30.
Awesome.
I used to be the 5 a.m. club. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but like I don't want to do it anymore.
I love it. I love it. Such all great things. I mean, I would argue that some people don't like.
It's cliche, but I think it's very individualized.
Yeah, I would agree with both those points. The things that are cliche in life, I think, are cliche because they're effective. Like the sun, I would argue is good for everybody. Reading, I certainly enjoy my reading. I think it helps the mind in a big way. And then meal prepping, the fitness side of my life, absolutely. I mean, I try to do, if I'm eating 4 times a day, I'll do my dinner on my own. The other 3 are sitting in my fridge right now so that it's easy peasy. And I don't forget that stuff. But one of the things I really like that you said, although all of those are beneficial, is the intentional breaks. There's lots of great studies around the flow state, how long we can actually get into that deep focus state and be high quality of productivity, and when it starts to taper down. And it does seem to be like that hour to 90 minutes and then this 5-minute break, especially if you can get outside, something I try to be intentional about as often as I can. And it makes a difference. It really, for me, if nothing else, if I can just, after this hour conversation we have, a couple of emails, just step outside, get some sun for 5 minutes, it is revitalizing. And it does take the stress just down a couple of notches. So I think that's great advice for anybody. But yeah, it's individualized. Give it a try. Just try it out, see if you like it. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. The burnout, mental health, man, it's a thing for all of us. The stronger and the more peaceful your mind is, I think, the happier you will be.
And I want to say too, like if you're an entrepreneur and you're hiring or you have policies in your business too, like I mandate mental health. Like that is like when we talk about mission and vision and I onboard my employees, like my main thing is if you need a mental health day, you're taking a mental health day, especially when we're working with animals. Animals are so intuitive. If you come and you're grumpy and you're having a bad day, you are going to get hurt. You're going to bite, dip it. You are going to make the pet more uncomfortable. The whole principle is like namaste, hakuna matata. Like we're just chill. If you're having an off day, take a longer break. Don't come into work. Like I'm huge on that. And I think bosses in general need to have a bigger focus on that to eliminate the burnout and to have good workers and to have a good work environment too.
Yeah. I mean, it's so productivity focused, more means more money, more impact, more whatever. But where's the intentionality behind providing a peaceful environment? Just that alone, have a little fun, take a little break. And certainly for me, I used to live into that space of, I still work long days, but they were way longer before. And they are, and the ones that I'm talking about in the past, those 12 or 14-hour days, were just straight. And either in conversation with people or at the computer. Now they're a little bit shorter, but there's like 3 hours of blocks in there for me to do something I enjoy. Like I make sure that I used to work out before the day, and then I would do the 12, 14-hour day. So it made the day just longer. So now, the gym's in the middle of the day, longer lunch breaks. I love my day walks, my forest walks in the summer, especially in the winter as well. So yeah, all in all, it's still a longish day, but there's these enjoyable blocks that just make it much more people. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
100%.
Yeah. Great advice. I really appreciate that. Back to Trooper Pet, all the information that the amount that our society loves our pets as much as they do. If you could distill all that information down into one or two main things that you wish our audience knew about Trooper Pet, what would it be?
It's actually impossible. First of all, I want them to know we exist. Let's talk about that. Yep. Brand awareness is huge. We are working with 34 clinics right now in Simcoe County, but there's way more than that. We're expanding into Muskoka, so even cottagers, now we can help them, even if they're there just for the summer months. So I want them to know we exist. I want them to know that we are here independently and as an extension to their doctor. They do not need to have a regular vet to contact us. We're here to help. If we need to bring a doctor in, we will bring a doctor in. We do everything within the scope of practice that we're allowed to, but we're here to help. I guess that would be my biggest one. Actually, those are the kind of two. Just know we're here to help and know that we're literally here.
We're literally
here.
Now, I love it. Well, that's one of the points of these things. We love bringing good people on here. Our one of our mottos on our team is good people first, good business second. If you were recommended by Sean, Julie, she is just a fantastic human being, and now me as well. We're happy to have you on here, and then to let people know that there's people in your community that do want to help, that have a business, that have a service that can increase the quality of your life in some way. So this question, my favorite question. And that's why I leave it out of the questionnaire. So if you're looking at the questionnaire right now, you won't find it. I don't want people to script it, although none of your answers seem scripted, which we love. So I only talk about a handful of things on this podcast. Somebody may look at this podcast and think it's about our neighbors, as it's called, Good Neighbor Podcast. Then they watch it. It's about business. It's about life for me, really, because our community is part of our life. Business is part of our life. We learn tips and tricks on here about avoiding burnout and our pets and financial advice, all kinds of things. These are all just categories of life. The main game that I am playing is the game of life. And all of these things are just buckets within life. So I talk about a handful of things, only the things that I study, really: entrepreneurship, mentorship, purpose, impact, fitness, scaling businesses. That's it. Those are the only things I focus on in life. Very narrow path. And I try to talk about them if they could help me and somebody else. So this question is about impact. I was very lucky. I have some great mentors in my life, have really changed the trajectory of my life. But one of them in particular, she came into my life at 22, 23, and I was floating, just floundering, no desire to figure things out, no real trajectory, no path. I was just bouncing around like a pinball, I call it, in controlled by something else. And so one of the things she encouraged me to do is to consider what my impact is. She was the first one to really plant the seed in me that although I'm young, I may not be here tomorrow, that my existence in showing up tomorrow has nothing to do with my age. Many of those things are outside of my control. She taught me that the time that is given to me, I have some control over what I do with it, but getting more time is in something else's hands outside of me. So that's what she was talking about when it came to impact. She basically said, you're here, you're born, you will die. What is the in-between going to equate to? And that is your impact, good, bad, or indifferent. So she really got me to be intentional about focusing, like, who do you want to be and what kind of impact do you want to leave on this world? Some people look at that as legacy. I don't really care about legacy that much because I'm going to be dead. So it's like, am I helping or am I hurting right now? And what do I want it to be ideally? So we like to ask the guests on the show, Becky, what would you like your impact to be?
I want to revolutionize the way we do veterinary medicine and change the way that we're doing it to better serve the pet.
Wow. It's almost like you did have that scripted, and I know you didn't have that question.
Didn't.
Damn. That was a mic drop instantly. Holy smokes. I love it.
I knew I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm here for.
I love it. I love it. That's big thinking and huge impact on our pets' lives, which have a huge impact on our lives. Very cool, Becky. I like that. How can we find out more about you? If people want to connect, what's the best way?
So networking, we're always around. We're hoping to do Kempen Fest again this year. So we had a booth last year. So hopefully we'll see everybody there again. I'm always around at, the chamber events, the sandbox events, but you can reach out anytime, socials, email, phone. Our business line is textable, so go ahead and text it. Somebody's always taking a look at it during the week. Again, you're not going to hear from me on Sundays, but other than that, I am around and I'll answer.
Wonderful. And what's the website?
So it's trooperpet.com, and all the socials are also trooperpet.
Beautiful. So super easy to Google, trooperpet.com. And then you guys on Instagram, Facebook, all the things?
All the things. I'm personally on LinkedIn. Our team's on LinkedIn. The page is on, or the business is on LinkedIn. You can find us there.
Awesome. Becky, it was really nice having you on the show. Get to know a little bit about what makes you tick, what you do outside of business, why you do business. That's such an important thing for me. Is some people just do it for money, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But often there's some altruism that is injected into our entrepreneurs' mindset, and I really dig that stuff. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Becky, enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.